Hello everybody. Hope this thing is working. We're live. Hello. Hello everybody. How is everyone doing? Hey, let me know if my audio is working, okay? Awesome. Sweet. Tap tap. Is this thing on? Howdy howdy. Please tell me. I hope this thing is working. Yeah, I think my audio is working. Looks okay. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Audio good. Hello, we have audio. Awesome. Okay, hey. We're gonna let it. We're just gonna wait like 60 seconds. Let the other people step in, and we will get started. Oh, I'm so excited. As you know, today our beautiful village is going to be turning into a town. So I'm super excited for that. Got a good story. There's a lot going on. Just so you know, if you missed the first stream, go ahead and check in the description below and you'll see the how to create village stream with the Watercolor Cities. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. The story and everything's there. So this will give you context for this stream. So again, check in the description below. Awesome. Let's go ahead and do a recap of what happened in the last stream. Imperial ventures in the southern kingdoms bring dislocation, and refugees travel north along the Alondo River into the Wild to try to find a place to settle, to escape the displacement and the violence of the wars in the south of them. To get the rest of what happened, go check that description, or check the link in the description. Let's go ahead and get started. Now our villagers have built the town, or have built the village, and they built this large wooden wall to protect them from the bandits who seem to be camped out in the mountains. And what we've had is we've built all the necessary infrastructure within the village so that it can sustain itself and its defenses. You'll see there's a rock quarry here, which you're going to need for your mason, and you've got lots and lots of timber here for your... Let's see here, where's our carpenter at? I think that's the carpenter right there. Okay. So, thankfully, the town, the village wall has been constructed without any incident. The bandits did not arrive. We do not know what happened. So, more refugees, of course, will show up. So we need to make a series of more houses. So we're going to create a series of small roads that branch out for our houses to be built. I'm going to drop my opacity of this just a hair. And make sure it's set to that right layer. You can use that the right layer. So 1 and 2 key are the shortcut keys from switching to the FG and the BG. Just remember the FG is just anything made with the add mode of the mask tool. And the BG is anything made with the subtract mode of the mask tool. Your default canvas is going to be the BG. Okay? So you'll have to use the add mode of the mask tool to create your land. So I am set to the right layer, and I'm going to go down and create a series of more little roads like this so that we can put more structures. So we'll be doing that. Let's quickly add in some more sections for road. And of course, we're going to want to probably delete a lot of this timber that's lying around here. So let's make sure we quickly delete this so that we have room. And I put the stumps all on one layer, different layer. So if I type in stump, they'll be right here. And I'm just going to quickly delete all these stumps. They would clearly have been dug up and removed by the villagers, as they are going to want to have room for more structures to be built. Let's go ahead and go out. There we go. Let's go ahead and get started on what is happening next for our villagers. One morning, the villagers find to discover that their children have gone missing. At least 4 children are missing, and the village is in an absolute panic. We don't know where these children have went. They have been traveling or been looking around the town, and they can't seem to find where these children are went. In utter fear and confusion, they go to the Tide Witch. Now, just a reminder, the Tide Witch is basically a woman of experience who's in her sunset years. And she acts as a counsel. She acts as a weathering woman who tells the weather. And so that way you know which direction the wind is blowing. So you know where to build your windmill, in what direction, and for instance, to search for underground aquifers. They speak with the spirits. They're baptized in the waters of the Alando, and the spirits come into them and give them these mystical abilities. So they go ahead and consort or go to the Tide Witch to discover what has happened with their children. The Tide Witch decides that she will go outside of the town, and she will go outside and she will try to summon the spirits to find out the location of the children. She tells the villagers to stay within the walls and to not come out after her. She goes out into the forest, and she speaks with the forest spirit. She puts her ear to the ground, listens wholeheartedly to the spirits to find out what has happened. And she hears the will of the wood. Now, the will of the wood is a god of the religion of the faith of the firstborn. The firstborn are the trees. Many, 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 many centuries ago, in ancient times, the trees were many times bigger and numerous than they are now. That is until the species of men and other species arrived or were born into the world, and they were cutting down the numbers of the trees. So the faith of the firstborn worships the firstborn, which is the trees, and she discovers that the will of the wood, that's the deity, has possessed the children and taken them because they're angry with the villagers for disturbing this area. So she has to go back to the village and explain what has happened and how do we calm these spirits? How do they get their children back? So the weathering woman goes out into the forest and she commutes with the spirits, with the villagers. The villagers try to take the children by force, but the children attack them, and fearful that they would harm their own children, they retreat. The weathering woman calms the villagers and tells them, it's okay, I will resolve this. She communicates with the spirits, the will of the forest, the will of the wood, and the will of the wood says, you have desecrated our land, you've taken away our children, the trees, and we demand tribute. We demand you return the saplings, that you plant trees, and you not disturb the forest again. The weathering woman says she apologized, she did not know, and that the villagers will gladly replant, but they need the trees if they are going to continue to build more of their village and to build the structures that they need. So she makes a pact with the will of the wood and says she will sacrifice her spirit, and then that way the will of the wood will release the children and return them to the village. So she sacrifices herself, her spirit is given unto and consummated unto the will of the wood, and the children are no longer possessed by the will of the wood, and they return to the village. Now, with the Tide Woman dead, the Weathering Woman and this Great Council Woman dead, they will need to find a new Weathering Woman, a new Tide Witch. So they decide that they first are going to build a shrine or temple in homage to their first Tide Witch. So we're going to go into the stamp, and we're going to pick this nice little shrine right here. We're going to place it down, and I'm going to go ahead and also, they're going to dig a hole first, and what I'm going to do is create a small pool or dig a hole where the structure is going to be built on top of it, and that pool is where they're going to fill that pool with the waters of the Alando so that the spirit can remain in the temple, in the shrine. So let's go ahead and first build that little pool. I'm going to put this right here, subtract. There's the little pool, and on top will be like this, facing the well. Okay, so now we have a place of worship, a place for the villagers to go. That's absolutely necessary. So we have a nice temple here, and we're going to add some more buildings as well, because we've had several refugees show up at the gate. So we're going to place them down, add in more structures. And don't forget, we did create all these extra spaces. So we're going to go ahead and build some more structures. More families have arrived. And of course, you're placing them in the little negative spaces that you put, where you put your streets. So there is that. Okay. So we've added some more. Our village is slowly becoming bigger. It's going to be turning into a town as more refugees and more people arrive. Now a new tide witch needs to be chosen out of these houses. Remember, she's usually a widow, a weathered woman. She's a widow. She's doesn't have any children. Maybe her husband has died, or she's not married. So those are the qualifications for a weathering woman. They do find that one of the villagers, one of the husbands has died, and they're going to decide to choose this woman to be the new weathering woman. So of course they need to march her out to the rivers, out to the waters of the Alondo, out against the lapping waves against the west bank, and she needs to submerge herself into the Alondo River, take in the spirits, and become the new weathering woman of the village. All right, let's keep going with our story. Now, up next, we have discovered that a series of foreign soldiers, deserters of foreign soldiers, have arrived at the village gates, and they are requesting asylum inside of the village. This is a very tough decision. The village comes together in a meeting place. They meet in the temple, and they decide what they are going to do. Are they going to allow these foreign deserters of the foreign armies, technically the invaders and other whatnot, are they going to allow them into the village, or are they not going to allow them into a village? Now I'm going to leave that option to you. So please select A. Option A is outside the wall. Is that where these deserters should live? Or B, are they going to live inside the wall with the rest of the villagers? So please choose A or B. A, again, outside. B, inside the wall. So I'll let you all decide whether these deserters of these foreign armies are going to live in or out. So please go ahead and give me an A or a B, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the story. I'll keep adding some more houses while the chat deliberates. So let's keep adding more housing. So there's going to be more and more houses, and of course we want storage. So let's go ahead and select these as well. Place a couple here like this. I don't want that one. Turn off random. Rotate. We're going to keep adding some more buildings here. So far we have 1A, 1B. Oop, oop, oop. B, 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 B. All right. So far it looks like inside is winning. Okay, let's keep building more structures. I'll let more people vote. All right, let's keep putting down our structures. The village is growing into a town. So a village, the usual arrangement is hamlet is the smallest, going from a hamlet to a town to a village, from a village to a town, and that's where we're at right now. And we're going to want to continue to expand the infrastructure of this town. As the town grows, as it becomes bigger, it needs to support the people that live in it, and that's what that infrastructure is. Absolutely necessary. Okay, so time has gone by, and it looks like the foreign soldiers have been accepted. The Tide Woman has said, hey, we're going to let you stay inside with us, so we'll continue building. We're going to cut down some more trees as well. And remember, we're replanting. We do not want to anger the will of the wood. We do not want any more children being taken away in the middle of the night by the will of the wood. So let's remember to keep planting our trees, and we're going to continue adding more infrastructure to it. Let's continue. So now that there's a kind of a dispute going on in the village. Now the blacksmith's son, as you know in the last video, is a deserter of the lands at home from that armies, doesn't want to be involved in the fighting, and so he decides to go with his father, his family, and the other refugees north. And he has had personal experience on the battlefield and still holds a lot of resentment towards these quote-unquote enemy soldiers. And so a dispute is taking place. The blacksmith is rallying people, or the blacksmith's son is rallying some of the villagers to his side to try to kick out these soldiers. So a great debate is taking place, and most of the villagers are on the side of the deserters from the other armies. They felt like, well, we escaped violence and war. The blacksmith's son himself is a deserter. There's no reason why we shouldn't accept these people into our community. They abandoned their country and their people to live here in peace, and so the majority of the village is okay with them staying, and the blacksmith, unfortunately, blacksmith's son and his little enclave will unfortunately have to deal with that. So now that these new refugees have arrived, they've decided that they're gonna build a new mill. So more mason work is needed. We're gonna break up these rocks, and a lot of stone is needed. So we'll delete some stone, and a new mill is gonna be constructed because we have a lot more people now. So we're gonna want to add a second mill so that people can eat. And we'll go ahead and move this shack over to here. The extra space. Remember, it's facing. There's a consistent, steady south or easterly wind or westerly wind. So we're facing the windmill to the east. I got my directions all screwed up the first one, so let's hope that I don't mess it up again. Let's also build the necessary storage as well, so that the grain that's coming from here will also, I'll turn this off here, we don't need that. These are kind of like storage silos. We're going to put the excess grain in here, so we'll put those there, as you know. And now that there's enough grain or corn or whatever it is that our thought is, and we have this mill, we can now add a brewery. Okay, people can now kick back, have a couple drinks, enjoy their day. So we're going to add a brewery. Let's see here. I think it's set into my favorites. There we are. And I think this is it right here. So let's be sure to add in a brewery. I'm going to go ahead and put it right next to the herbalist, or I can put it over here. Let's put it right here. And don't forget, we want to make sure that we're connecting our roads so that people can get to it. So let's go ahead and continue our road to here like this. And we'll have it connect to the main road right here. If you look down, this is kind of that main road that goes up. So we're making sure to connect that. And let's go ahead and build some other roads that are going to go out. Don't forget to make it go around a little bit of the windmill. Okay, and then let's connect a road that goes to here as well. So we're continuing to add more road. Let's also do the same here, out to here, so that some structures can be put here, one here and one there. So we're adding in the necessary road system. So we're going to do this. Okay. Let's go ahead and make sure that our roads are connected. There we go. This looks good. And let's add a second road going like this into here, and we'll build more structures as well going into here. We can delete all this stuff. So we still want to make room for carts and stuff to get to our mason work. Okay, let's go zoom out. So we have a nice brewery, and as always, I like to add a little dark texture underneath my stamps. I always like doing that. Let's increase, let's just make sure, see how it looks. Yeah, a little bit darker. I like to add a little bit of dark texture because the earth has to be undone, right? You're not going to have grass growing right up to the foundation. To build the foundation for a structure, you have to dig down first, right? And the reason why that is because if you want the stone to settle correctly, especially if your structure is made of stone, for the stone to settle correctly, you have to make sure that the foundation is both strong, sturdy, and level so that the stone won't crack or won't settle properly. So it's very important that you making sure that you're digging underneath the I forgot already what I was talking about. All right. To build the foundation. Sorry. There we go. I'm going to quickly just add in some dark texture underneath here. I always like this. I think it looks nice. Okay. So we have an extra mill, and that is for the more food. Eventually, this town is going to grow and expand outside of these walls, especially more crops. Right now, we're reaching almost maximum capacity. We're going to have to expand further outside of the wall. It's a risk the villagers are willing to take, or the townspeople are willing to take. So it's okay. So let's go ahead and make sure that we include some crops outside. I did save some crop textures here. So let's go to advanced settings, okay? And we're going to rotate. And we want to remember just which way the sun goes up and down to maximize. So I'm having the sun is going to go from obviously east to west, and we want to maximize sunlight on the crops. So let's go ahead first and build that crop. It's 63%, should be good. Let's build a crop that's going to be very close to the wall. It's going to be very quick and easy for the villagers to go out to the the crop, harvest it with their wheelbarrows, and then take it and then wheel it back into the town. And as you know, there's a mill right here that's nice and close. So they just have to go along this road right here and boom, go right over to here. So it's real close. You kind of want that easy access so that crops are easily accessible, and that you also have some crops inside your walls. Because what happens if you get attacked? If you get attacked and you have to shut your gates, your defenders will have no way to eat. So you have to have some crops, some backup crops inside of your town or village or city or capital, so that way food can still be distributed to the Lord, to the villagers, or whoever is within it, okay? So very important that you remember to have some crops inside your town, not just outside. So let's go ahead and put down the crops outside. I'm going to go with a large size here, and we're going to go like this. And so there's more crops here. Going like this, more crop. And as always, I'd really like to line my crops with bushes. I think that looks really, really nice. So I'll be doing that. Let's put one more crop over here like this, and then maybe a couple more right here. Okay, and then we can go over to a bush. And I think there's some bushes on here, right? That should be a bush right there. Is it the right one? I don't know. Let's check. That looks like an acacia tree. I'm just going to use regular bushes. So if you were to go right to the catalog, O key, F key, opens you up into the catalog. Okay, what's going on here? O key. There we go. Okay, and then F key, open up the catalog. Come on, you can do it. It's getting some serious lag here. Okay, remember, you can just go right into up here and you can type in bush, and it should show in there, which it is not. Oh, yay. Okay. Oh, I see. There's an error. I got to save and refresh real quick, so just one moment while I do that. It looks like some data is out of sync with the editor, so you have to save and refresh once in a while. So let's quickly save and refresh, and I'll kind of explain that whole refreshing thing. Often, when you're working on a map, your change history starts to build up when you're adding more and more things. When that happens, that can cause some problems. So what you want to do is make sure you save, and I usually do it about 100 or so changes, but you don't have to. You can go a little bit more. I've seen people really just risk it and just go with like 1,000+ changes. I just say, woo-hoo, you are ballsy, go for it. Go ahead, make 1,000 changes. But whatever amount, you do want to save often, and you want to refresh the page once in a while too. I'm going to do that right now, so let's just quickly refresh the page, and we'll get back onto it. Awesome. All right. Awesome. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone's enjoying the story. Thank you for voting on those refugee deserters or foreign soldiers. I'm sure they greatly appreciate you deciding to let them into the village. So thank you. There could have been consequences to having them live outside too, just as there could have been for inside. So appreciate that generosity. Okay, so we're back in. Let's keep going. All right. So we've added a brewery, we've added more houses. We've added a lot more. Let's keep adding some more houses. Remember, this is a town, so we want to keep going big. Oopsie, I just realized that I got changed some things in the catalog. Let's remove my custom assets, and let's also remove custom assets from the catalog. No, just removing that custom asset so they don't show up. Okay, so here we are, back in the village. We're going to continue to build the infrastructure. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove a lot of this stuff, move this over to here, and we want to put some whereabouts on the road to kind of show that there is activity, right? It's the crops from here. They're taking whatever they're harvesting and taking it to here. And let's go ahead and put some mill workers, a millwright. So let's go ahead and add in some villages, some towns, and some other stuff. So let's do this, add in a couple more. And let's add in one here, and let's also go to our smaller ones. So we want more silos, and we're going to put some of these here, so this is some storage. Okay, and we'll add a couple here as well, like this. Okay, so the village is no longer a village, it is now becoming a township. Now, I would love to label this town. It obviously doesn't have a name yet. The villagers have consecrated a new tide witch, and the village has grown almost to town capacity, town size, and they're uncertain of what to call their town. So if anyone has suggestions, please go ahead and make a suggestion. And then once the suggestions have been added, we'll go ahead and vote on which suggestion to keep. So go ahead and put your suggestion for the town name, and then we'll go ahead and label that. We'll vote on that and then label the town. So let's go ahead and zoom back in and continue with construction of the town. Let's go. Woo! All right. Okay, we've added a brewery, we've added houses. All right. And now several months have passed since the incident with the Will of the Wood. A lot has gone down, and we have discovered that the reason why the bandits have not attacked the village or town is because there was an avalanche in the mountains, and it stopped and it filled up the pass, and so the pass was not, you couldn't get past the avalanche, and so the thieves for several months had to remove all the stone that had fallen into the path. And so that was what kept them from attacking. So what great luck, what great fortune, strange happenstance, coincidence, or causality, if you will, that saved the villagers from an attack. And that's great. But now that the bandits have cleared the pass, they can now attack the village. Now the village has some advantages. The town has some advantages. More people have showed up. It has expanded, it gotten larger, and with more people comes more chances to defend yourself. Numbers is a big game. It's not the only thing, military training, but they're bandits. And most of these bandits don't have professional training. Some of them might have been part of a private retinue for some lord, but they're not a trained force. They're not trained to do sieges. They're trained to just do hit and run operations, shall we say. They just go in real quickly, kill people who get in the way and discover them quietly, and then steal the goods. Okay? So, but the bandits numbers also grow. As the crisis continues to expand in the south, as the southern kingdoms are plundered into imperialist ventures, so does more highwaymen and more bandits. You know, they're going to choose two lifestyles: to work in a collective with people and maybe in this village, or they're going to go outside of that collective, and they're going to just steal and rob from people who are doing the hard labor themselves. And so that's what these bandits are going to do. Their numbers are growing, and so when they feel confident enough and they have the proper weapons, they're going to probably attempt to try to sneak in and probably steal what food is here. So now, as you know, the blacksmith in the last episode was training many of the little amount of young men that are here. Unfortunately, life expectancy is low, and so lots and lots of men. There's not lots of younger men. It's mostly elderly folk or very young children who obviously are not going to be helpful. But the blacksmith decides that he's going to continue to training, and the Tide Witch suggests to the blacksmith's son that indeed you should train women as well. And the blacksmith is hesitant at first, but the Tide Witch is absolutely consistent and says you should absolutely train the women. They have every right to defend their village as well, or town, shall we say. So men and women alike are being trained to defend the village, and we need to create, let's say, like a barrack. So we're going to create a barrack, and the barrack is basically just a place where these young men can train and live, and it's got to be close to the gate, okay? So we've made these open spaces here, and we want to look up a barrack in the catalog or put some kind of fighters guild if you want in there. It doesn't matter which one you want to use. Even a regular house will be fine. I'm going to use these kind of big barns for now as kind of the barracks. And so these two right here, this right here is a barrack, and we're going to create a training ground right here. So let's go in and look for fences. I'm going to type in fence. You'll see there's some fences here, and we're going to go ahead and create a fenced in area. This is where like your archery range is going to be. This is where you're going to have people training to, you know, training so that they can learn to defend. The blacksmith, again, blacksmith's son, again, has some experience in the army, and so he knows a little bit about defense. And of course, our other deserters, pretty much to the chagrin of the blacksmith's son, would like to also be involved, and so they do. So now they have a nice, sizable, about 10 or 11 strong, able-bodied people to help to defend and to go ahead and to also be stationed here at the gate just in case there's a siege. As the town grows, more people can get enrolled and go into the barracks here. Okay, let's go ahead and check chat and see what we got for names. Right now we've only got one name, and that's Wardville or Wardville. I like the name. If there's anyone else, please keep them coming, okay? All right, let's do it. All right, so we've got some able-bodied men and women who absolutely want to defend their village, want to defend their families from any kind of invaders. So we've added a nice little barrack here for people to train and to quickly go to the gate if they need to defend it. So we've got nice barracks. I know I'm only at 17 changes. I'm just going to be saved just to be safe. Ooh, I like that name too. Joy Ashenbury. Ooh, nice one. All right, well, we'll let them keep on coming. All right, please don't forget, put those names in there. Everyone will vote on it. I'm excited. All right, so let's go ahead and continue building more and more structures. Our town is building while the town is expanding. The bandits are planning a night attack. They hope to try to sneak in and get in and steal that. So let's get that set up. First, let's go ahead and continue to build the town. Let's add in some more structures and buildings. We're going to add some flowers and stuff over here to this place because we want to add some nice flowery stuff. So I'm going to add some flowers right here as well. We're going to go ahead and decorate. A lot of the small children went out into the forest and picked wildflowers and decided to plant them here in remembrance of the Tide Witch who saved their lives. So we have some nice flowers there. That's nice. All right. And let's continue to add more structures. Let's go ahead and click this. Let's go with a different color. We've been using some green. Let's try using some red houses. We want to use different color here. Let's see here. I think this one should do good. Let me take a look. Nope, that's an inn. Where are small build? There we go. Let's go add in a couple red buildings. We've got a lot of the same color here, blue, yellow, and then some green here, but let's add in some yellow for a little bit more color. So let's add in a structure here. This is the Carpenter, so let's build some houses there. And let's go ahead and add this one here as well. So we got some more houses being built. As you can see, our village is obviously turning into a town. Let's go ahead also, while the bandits are preparing to siege or to sneak in, sorry, not a siege, they're not trained for that. We're going to quickly line some of these crops with some bushes to make them blend better with the texture. So let's go and make sure that I can find bushes. Let's click it, bush. Aha! Awesome, okay. Now I'm going to check my density and just turn my density down a bit so that way they're not clumped too close together. And all you're going to do is just line the crop like this. Okay, we're lining the crop, and you don't even have to have the whole thing lined. Just some of it is just fine. Actually, this is much too small. Those are really tiny. That's fine. We'll go down to, let's say, 37. Okay, I'm just going to do, let's say, the corners here instead. And don't forget to line some of your roads as well with bushes. It's just a really nice aesthetic. It looks nice. It helps to make the crops look like they're framed. So that looks really nice. So this is purely aesthetics. Obviously, this doesn't serve a utility function at all. It's purely aesthetic. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's keep adding more bushes to here. And then we will move on to our evil bandits making their plan to steal the grain and hard labor of these townspeople. How dare they? There's gonna be a fight. Heck yeah. You don't think the blacksmith has been training these folks for nothing. They're ready for action. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom out and take a look. Remember, mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and out. That's so much easier than having to use this magnifying glass, okay? And you can pan, by the way, by holding down the space bar and go like this. Okay, that's much easier than trying to, go in, then zoom back out, then zoom in and zoom back out. Don't do that. Make your life easier. Hold down the space bar, click hold with the mouse, and you can pan your place, okay? So let's do that. Okay. Oh, I like that. I like that question there, Roaming Wraith. Question: does the village have explorers who scout nearby land? Well, at the moment, no. But as the village grows, as the town grows into, let's say, the next episode of city, yes, people will have to scout, survey, and prepare more land for building and stuff. And as you remember from the first episode, up at the top there are these ruins. In the beginning, the villagers decided they did not want to build on those ruins. They feared that by building their village on already some ruins, that would bring ruination to their own village. So for now, the villagers are rather suspicious, or shall we say superstitious, and they don't want to go up here and disturb this area. They feel that would be unsafe. For the time being, the villagers are probably not going to expand up to the top here, even though this is a very nice location. This is a limestone outcropping, and that's the perfect location for building some kind of fortress or a castle. So wink, wink, maybe that'll happen in another episode, but not during the town. Okay, so let's take a look. We've lined some bushes around here. I kind of like that look. That looks nice. And let's just say that the crops out here are lined with bushes and not the crops out here. Let's also line some of the roads as well. I always think it looks really nice when you add just a little bit, and be careful where you place them. Leave some room for structures. So I would do it to places that already have a structure in it like this, so that way you don't accidentally don't make enough room to put structures in here. Okay. All right. It's okay. All right. Ooh, hey, that's a cool. Hey, I like that. I like that information. Thank you, Joy. That's very interesting. Okay. All right. Let's just keep adding more. Awesome. I love it when there are people in the chat who know what they're doing. I love that. I don't pretend to know what I'm doing, okay? Okay, let's go ahead and line some of these roads, because that looks nice to me. Okay, let's take a look. Let's definitely put some here, and maybe definitely around the well. Okay, add some here and here. This road goes up through here, and let's also put some along here. Okay, let's zoom out, take a look. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Awesome, thank you, Joy. Again, appreciate it. Let's make a save. We're at 80 changes. We're gonna quickly save that. Let's keep going. All right. Now, as you know, the bandits have now cleared the pass, and so they're gonna sneak in the middle of the night, hopefully, to go in, try to sneak into the village. And we don't know entirely their plan to do that. So far, the villages or the town's defenses include a large wooden palisade wall. It's firm, it's good, it's got a nice trench in the front, so that makes it even more difficult. By building a trench in front of your wall, I've go ahead and made a trench by just using a darker texture here. But by digging a trench in front of your wall, it becomes more and more difficult to scale the wall. So, and the way I did it again is I just went ahead and just used a darker texture. Let's also add in just a couple more houses, because this place needs to get much, much bigger. And don't forget to add some extra details as well. Things like crates and barrels are fantastic. They work so well. So I'm going to click this barrel right here, and I'm going to put them in random places. It's nice to put them up next to a house. This adds this extra layer of detail when you do things like adding crates and barrels. So I totally recommend it. Just put them right next to your houses. That's all you have to do. This barrel and crate is massive, I noticed, so let's just take that down. And let's add a couple crates along this house here. And let's also put a bunch of crates and barrels next to our windmill. So let's do that. Let's put some here. And I definitely recommend rotating them. Don't have them all facing the same way. You can hit that control button and the mouse scroll wheel and you can rotate, as you can see on the screen. And you'll see over here too that the rotation angle is changing, and it should be up here as well. So you'll see that rotation change. Let's go ahead and place that there. Let's go ahead and also add in more barrels and crates. And I think we should definitely put some barrels by the brewery. Makes total sense. Here's a brewery right here. So let's just go ahead and place a bunch of barrels here. Okay, bunch of barrels there. And let's also put some top-down barrels as well. Make them a little bit smaller. One there. Let's do a triangle of barrels. So you have some barrels there and maybe one or two over here. Okay. And these little extra details just give a lot more character, and it makes your town just look so much nicer. Okay? Let's go ahead and quickly add in just a couple more houses, like I said earlier, and then we're going to move on to our bandits. Ooh. Okay, let's leave some room here for some important structures we'll be putting in later. Okay, we've got some nice houses here. So night approaches, the sun is setting in the west, and dark is coming, and the bandits are preparing themselves to sneak into the town and steal as much grain or goods as possible, and possibly killing any villager that discovers them or gets in their way. For now, most of them are armed with pretty rickety swords, some other hoes and things like that. They don't have a lot of weapons, just swords. As for our villagers have some basic equipment. They've got some simple bows. Nothing compact. They're not compound they're not compound bows, or I think they're called composite or compound bows. I think they just have a lot more pressure, so they don't have those. So they have pretty basic bow and arrows, and they have all their tools as well that they can use as weaponry to defend themselves. So night befalls the town, and the villagers, feeling a little, after a long night of drinking and celebrating at the brewery, they're feeling a little lax, and they're not feeling so in the mood to be on top with being so regimented. Remember, the villagers are not part of a private revenue. They're not a private retinue. They're not extremely disciplined. So they're going to feel laxed after some time of feeling like they have some kind of security. They're laxing on their defenses, and they're able to sneak in. The bandits were able to make a makeshift ladder and to go over the wall. And since there's not much defenses, they go, I'm going to say, if anyone can tell me where they think the best point to scale the wall is. I mean, in my opinion, as someone who's, the best place would probably be here, over by these rocks. If you have the cover of these tall rocks here, and excuse me, and so the bandits are going to take a ladder, and they're going to climb up as much as they can right here. I know there's supposed to be someone here, so let's just say that guard's asleep, tired, not paying attention, or it's just too dark for them to see. And so they're going to sneak in here, hide behind the rocks. They go in, and they start taking stuff out of the... well, if anyone thinks this is the best place, but for me, this is, I would think, the best place. You've got cover from these rocks. You've also got cover in the woods so that people can't see you. So, in my opinion, it's the best spot. So that's where they're going to sneak in. They try to take a bunch of stuff, but the alarm is taken off, and a battle ensues. Villagers and bandits are fighting each other. People are dying. And for right now, it's a pitched battle, and the bandits are trying to escape with as much as they can. They're trying to get back over the wall. 3 to 4 of the bandits are been deeply wounded. They're not escaping. 2 of the bandits have been killed, and the rest of the bandits are now trying to escape as quickly as possible as they can. It's very difficult. They've been cornered, and so they have been captured. The bandits have been captured, and the villagers have succeeded. They too have lost considerable amount. They've lost at least half of their little force that they've created to protect the village, and they've killed, and a few villagers have also been killed who are not part of that force. Now, other people have also died, but because there's a lot of people who have died, we need to consider making a graveyard. Now, so the best place that I think the villagers are going to decide where to put a graveyard is probably close to this temple here. It's a sacred area, and you know, depending on the culture and the religion that you're a part of, it's nice to add some a graveyard. So let's go into the object tool. I put some graveyard stuff here. It should be in my favorites. Let me just double check. Uh-oh. Now where did that grow? Okay, I'll have to type in graveyard, unfortunately. There it is. Okay, and there's a bunch of them in the set. Lots of them. There's little tiny stones here. Now, since so many people have died, we can go ahead and probably just put a bunch. So let's put the graveyard over here. And this is just a small graveyard for now. Or we can have this whole section right here be a graveyard. So we want more room. So let's go ahead and have this be the graveyard right here. Multiple people have died. Let's go ahead and also add in some small stones. The villagers decide that they're not going to bury the dead of the bandits. The bandits are ruffians and who don't want to play by the rules with everyone else, and so they decide to just toss the corpses of the dead bandits into the forest to be left there to rot. Far away, obviously, not close, but they are not happy with the bandits. Family members have died, they've lost friends, and so they decide that they are not going to give a proper burial to these bandits. Obviously, they're going to give a proper burial to their own who have died in defending their village or town. Just so you know, we might be having much larger, more historically accurate sieges in future videos. Especially when we maybe get the castle in. All right, let's go ahead and add some paths that go through the graveyard. I'm going to use a dark or use a brown texture instead of using this kind of stone section color here. Let's drop the opacity. I'm going to do a quick one stroke. I recommend if you don't know what opacity to be at, just do one test stroke to see what it's at. Oopsie, make sure it's set to the FG. That's one key, okay? So if I go like this, you can kind of see it. Let's just undo that. Let's increase just a hair more, 67. And I'm going to create a nice windy path so that the future gravestones can be put alongside of. So let's have one here going like this. It's going to be wavy like this. We'll have it go out to here like this. Okay. And this is where we'll put future graves along here. Okay. So we have the graveyard. This whole section right here is going to be our graveyard. Okay. All right. That's 30 changes. We're doing good. Let's go ahead and add a couple more gravestones because we have to factor in that other people have also died. Don't forget to space too. If this is your gravestone, you're probably going to want a little bit of room. If you put it like this, the bodies are stacked on top of each other. If you give a little bit of room like this, then there's room. So make sure you do that too, okay? So we've added in our graveyard. It's right next to where our temple is, where the previous Tide Witch of the village had died and sacrificed herself to protect the village. Okay, let's zoom out. Let's take a look. I'm also going to do a quick save. Let's keep going. Awesome. I can't wait to simulate a better siege. But these are bandits. They didn't do a siege. Don't forget, our bandits are being held captive for now. The villagers are confiding with the Tide Witch on what they want to do with the captured bandits. Are they going to execute them? Are they going to let them go? Are they going to force them to, to try to rehabilitate them and bring them into the village? We don't know yet. So I'm going to go ahead and have you guys decide what are we going to do with these bandit captives? We're going to execute these guys. We're going to let them go. We're going to rehabilitate them. I'm going to have you, the Inkarnate village in the chat or town to decide what is going to happen to these bandits. Are they going to feel the stingy rod of retribution from the villagers, or will they be shown forgiveness? So go ahead, please. let me know, okay? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just check the chat real quick. Okay. All right. Let's continue adding more houses while the people in the chat can go ahead and deliberate amongst each other the fate of these bandit captives. Don't forget, we've added a lot more sections, so let's just keep adding more and more village. Now, right now, we're town. Remember, we've added all the necessary infrastructure for the village section, so there might have to be more carpenters, more masons, and more other necessary infrastructure, like a blacksmith. For now, the town is still relatively small, so let's keep expanding the town. Let's let the town keep growing. So we'll add more and more structures. And if you watch the first video, you'll understand the layout of the village. You'll understand that the mason is close to the stone, and that the carpenter is going to be close to where the forest is, that the herbalist is going to be relatively close to the forest, or she's already grown the just so you know, the herbalist is also the death. Ogre and the burbs. Death. No quarter. No mercy. The bandits just, they gotta go. Nope. No quarter. I love the viciousness. Just take them out. Okay. We'll let you guys decide on what's going to go on with that. Let's keep adding more and more structures. Don't forget, this is our barracks right here. So let's build some houses in here. Okay. And we're going to fill up this entire area with structures. Okay, so the village is continuing, the town now is growing, and eventually it's going to have to expand outside of these walls. So let's go ahead and build what's called a rectory in the Catholic Church. The rectory is where the priest lives. So we're going to have a small section, a small house over here where the weathering woman can live or stay if she wants. So let's go ahead and be sure to add that. It doesn't have to be a giant structure. We're just going to make it small. So I'm going to use this one right here, and we're going to put, let's use this one right here. We're going to put it right along here. This is the rectory. So that's where the weathering woman wants to live. If she wants, already she lives in this herbalist house. She's also the herbalist of the house, but this is that rectory where if she wants to stay close to the temple. So we've added a rectory, and let's go ahead and also add in some storage as well next to that. So let's put some here and here. Sacrifice them to the gods. Send them to the ruins. All of these are great. Give them no quarter. Give them to the will of the wood. Have them be possessed, right? Does the town have traders? Well, the town is still growing. Don't worry. We're going to add all that too. So for trade, we want to first make sure that the town is large enough, has a big enough population for trade to even be necessary. A small town might not need trade if all the resources that they need or that are necessary will be closer. As a town grows and gets bigger and turns into a city, and there's not enough land to create the necessary food infrastructure to maintain the town, that is when trade begins to happen. Trade begins to happen when there's not enough resources in the immediate area to maintain the necessary infrastructure. So let's go ahead and just continue to build more of the village, the town. Let's fill in the entire space of the inside of this, and we'll start building outside. So, and we're gonna build the other town closer to the village walls. So that way, when there is an attack, they can quickly go onto the main road, this causeway here, and just go straight in. So the villagers are gonna have to uproot all of these roots, all of these stumps first, if they're going to want to build. So let's go ahead and type in stump. I'm going to delete all of these stumps. Oopsie, not the whole thing. Oopsie, that's my bad. Just some of them. What am I doing? Okay, let's go ahead. Come on now. Where'd you go? Don't be mean. Be nice. Let me in. There we go. So we're going to delete. Oh, we're not going to delete. The townspeople are going to uproot all these stumps. Going to get rid of them. They need room to build their houses. So let's go ahead and remove all these stumps. And we're going to have to do a resize as the village expands. There's a resize tool. So let's go ahead and first, I don't think I need to do any resizing yet. There's still a lot of room for expansion here. So let's go ahead and build the village out here and fill in here first. So let's add in all the necessary housing here. Let's also expand our roads. So let's go ahead and build a road here. Make sure it's the right size. We want to build a road here, and we're going to build some housing along here. Let's also put some section here so some houses can be put in here. And then let's also put some road here. Some houses can be put here. We'll connect. Okay, let's add more roads going to here. So we want lots of flow of traffic so that villagers, where the townspeople can go to and fro. Let's go ahead and keep adding. This is going to be graveyard, so let's not put anything in there. Let's connect these roads and add in some more buildings here. And let's also add in more roads here. Let's have a road going directly to this little guardhouse here. And then we can fill in this section right here with a bunch of houses. Let's also remove all the little rock and pebble here. So let's go full speed here and just fill in this with kind of dark texture. I'm going to put in dark here and in here and here. There we go. And let's also put some in here and in here. Here. Okay, nice. Okay. There we go. Okay, we're going to add some there as well. Okay, so we have these nice sections here. We can keep building. We want to make sure to fill up the entire space inside the town to give reason for the townspeople to build outside of the village. So there's only one reason to build outside, and that is if there's no more room. So let's fill up this whole walled area first, and then we can go ahead and start building outside. So I've been doing a lot of story, so let's take a break on story and just start building the structures. Let's go ahead and add in another mason. As the village grows, you're going to need another mason to deal, or the town grows, you're going to need another mason to deal with the extra load of stonework necessary to make brick and stuff. So let's go ahead and add in another mason. That's necessary infrastructure. Okay, ooh, people have got some ideas. Ooh, use them as labor. Ooh, that's not a bad idea. I like that idea. Okay, we'll make sure to go ahead and vote on that stuff. Let's continue building. I'm going to take, like I said, a slight break from the story so that we can get more into the tool and get things moving along. So let's add some more structures. It's nice to add these smaller structures to add more detail. When all the structures in your town or village is around the same size, it looks really weird. Okay, so you want to have kind of varying size of structures so that it looks more interesting and unique. Okay, if it's all around the same size like these buildings right here, it looks weird. So these smaller kind of shed-like buildings look really cool and give more depth and detail. So I'll be placing those structures all around. So let's just put a work shed here for the tools of this carpenter. Let's add another shed right here for this mason to put their tools in. Let's also put a shed here for that one. Let's add in more storage units. Let's put in some storage here. Okay, let's add some storage over here as well. We want some food to be close to the barracks, so if they want to get some food. And let's add some housing in here as well. So let's just go ahead and cycle through the options here. We're going to want to pick one that fits. This is why I always recommend not putting these bushes in the negative spaces without the buildings being there first, because now I have to find something that fits in there. By deleting that, now I can, I have more room for it. I'm also going to flip this like this, and I'm going to make sure that it's lined up against these two roads here. And don't forget, add some more barrels and crates. So let's add some barrels, crates. Okay. Let's go ahead and add some barrels. And I'm going to put barrels lined along the windmill because this is where you're going to get some storage stuff. So let's put some there. Let's even add some here as well. Okay, let's take a zoom out, take a look. Okay, you see, so it's really growing. It's really kind of a small town right now. We're probably looking at anywhere between 60 to about 100 people live here right now, so it's really kind of a small town, and we'll keep adding more to it. We're going to fill in all these negative spaces where I put in the town, and most of the basic infrastructure has been added to it. So for now, we can put that on hold and start focusing more on adding those houses. So let's put in the houses in the negative spaces. And we're going to put them up here. Let's put some here. For now, it's just a town. We haven't added any classes yet. There's no rich lords or merchants yet, but don't worry. As the town expands, more merchants will arrive, trade will arrive, and that will obviously bring merchants who want to live here. Right now, we're just a small township. We don't have to worry about mercantile ventures until a little bit later. Don't worry, we're going to be adding that in there. So don't think it's not there. It will be. Let's just continue building more housing as more people seem to populate here, and most of the people here are deserters from the wars, or they're refugees from the war. They've been displaced by the imperialist ventures in the south. Let's keep adding houses. We're just going to fill this whole thing up. Let's add in another house right here. Oh, let's actually build one here. Ooh, the size is different, 95. Oops, that's okay. It's all right if it's a couple points off. That's all right. Let's add one here, and let's keep going. Let's see here. Yeah, all this is negative space, so it's perfect. We'll put one there. And so we're putting lots of stuff. And don't forget to make some negative space as well. One thing I love to do is to leave a little negative space here so that you can go ahead and put something in there. And what looks really nice is a little bit of grass. So if you want, go into your catalog and pick like some grass. If you want, make sure that softness is up. And what's really nice is you can create kind of like a corded off grassy area inside. So you'll see there's this nice grass area inside of here. Okay, so it's just kind of to add a nice little aesthetic. I really like adding this kind of thing in. And you'll notice in the catalog that there are stamps that already kind of do that for you. Let's go over to here, and if you go click in block, let's quickly do this, type in block. There should be a whole series of these kind of blocks, like this one, for instance. Like you'll see that there's kind of a little bit of an interior here. It's basically the same concept. You would just fill it in green or whatever color inside of there. Same thing with this one. I'm just doing everything by hand because I want to have control over what each building is and where it's at. But of course, if you're just building a city from the ground up and you're not starting from the hamlet, the village, the town, the city, the capital, if you're not doing it the way I am, you're just building a city in a kind of a one-shot, then yeah, I would absolutely recommend just using the blocks. Okay, but if you're building a town the way I am, just starting from the smallest settlement to the largest, which is that capital, then yeah, absolutely, I would recommend using blocks. That would probably work best. But for this, all intents and purposes of this stream, I'm placing each structure down by hand because that's the way I want to do my city or my town. So let's continue adding more roads. We want to make sure that we connect the roads to the main roads into the main carriageway here. Right now, this is the main carriageway. And to verify that this is the main carriageway, I'll just make it a little bit brighter. A carriageway or causeway, if you will. So we'll go ahead and do this. This goes all the way to the other side of the village or town, all the way to here. That's fine. Let's put that there. Okay. So that's kind of the main route, and I've shown that by just making it a little bit more visible than the other ones. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at our changes. 104 changes. Let's save and refresh. Let's do that. I'm going to go review chat and take a look what on earth we're going to do with these dastardly bandits. What are we going to do? Let's see here what we got. Options here. Ooh, the ones that are being saved should drive out the bandits, leaving them to grim fate of the dark wood. Okay, what do you use for the note tool? Ooh, good question. All right. Ooh. Awesome. Use them as labor. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and leave some options up here for our bandits. So I'm going to go ahead and put them up in chat. So as soon as you're ready, go check chat and verify. So A option is we're just going to kill them. Just straight up execute them. Execute. Okay, B is going to be, they're going to be banished, which means they're just going to be left. Or we're going to go with C, they're going to let them in, rehabilitate. Okay. All right, so those are our options. So please, anyone in the chat, or everyone in the chat, please choose between A, B, or C. A, execute. B, banished. C, rehabilitate. Please. So let's go ahead and see what's going to find out with the fate of these bandits and what rewards and consequences are going to come from executing or banishing or rehabilitating them. So please, in the chat, check and pick which one that you want. Let's keep adding more structures and stuff to this village here. We also want to delete some stone, as some foundation has been built for a lot of these structures. So we got to keep hacking away at this rock quarry that we hear. Hey, so much. Just do it. Come on. All right, let's go ahead and delete some more of this stone, and that makes more room here. Eventually, this stone is going to run out, so keep that in mind. Okay. All right, so far we got A and we got C. So keep voting, keep putting it in there, and I'm going to keep building on this infrastructure, keep building on the town. We want the town to be of a decent size, so let's go ahead and just cover this up here. Cool, lots of space now for more structures, which is kind of nice. Awesome, there we go. Nice. Okay, so there's some more room for more of the village, the town. Awesome, let's go ahead and delete some of these rocks here. And let's start building some more road for the houses to be built. Let's keep going. Remember, we're going to fill in the entire town, and then once that's done, we'll start building outside. There's no more room. Let's go take a look in the chat what we're at. 1A, 2 C's, 1B. All right, well, let it keep going. Let it keep going. Let it keep going. Let's go ahead and add the town stuff here. So let's have, this is the rock, these two right here are stonemasons. Let's extend our road to go to the rock quarry. Okay, that's really important, right? And then let's also just make some more roads, just kind of random, go out to here like this. And the more that the rock quarry gets mined out, then the more room we'll have, but rock will also be running out. So this is that part where trade comes in. If there's no place, if there's no location close to that has stone for you to build, there's one of two things. You'll have to travel farther out and with cart loads and try to find more stone. You could go into the river and find some stone there. The current of the Alondo River is extremely strong, so I don't recommend that unless you want to make some kind of cofferdam. And don't worry, we might be building a cofferdam out here. If you don't know, a cofferdam is a temporary dam that you use to expose some of the riverbed so that you can build on it. That's generally what a coffin dam is. A coffin dam is usually made of huge baskets that are filled with rocks, and then they put those baskets on, and then they go ahead and use clay or mud to seal in the crevices where the baskets are at. So I'm not going to do that in this particular episode, but in the next one, when it goes to a city, we will absolutely be utilizing more of the river by creating a cofferdam and maybe some water mills. So that's absolutely necessary. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I'm really excited to share that with you. So let's keep going. We're going to build more. Let's think about flow of traffic. So the main route goes here to the rock quarry, and then there's also a route that goes to here. We can continue this route here like this. So if the people wants to walk, they can go out like this. So let's just add that route there. Right, okay. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and keep adding more. And let's see here. Let's use these basic village stuff. So let's go ahead and add, let me see, 70% and make sure I'm at the right size. Try to keep it relatively within the same size. Most of these structures are about 100%. I think some of them might be 95. Okay, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and line these houses along the road here. Let's not use that same one right next to it. I try to avoid this where I try not to have the same building next to each other, because that can look really weird. If you look at this, that looks odd. So I did do it here. So I guess that's kind of a fault on my part. So let's not do that. All right, let's fix that. Okay, let's go ahead into the chat and check how it went. I think the majority of people here, one, two, three, four, five, okay, it looks like the majority of people here would like to see these people rehabilitated. So, and for me personally, someone had mentioned in here that, you know, putting them to work could rehabilitate them. Well, that makes total sense, right? I mean, these bandits don't want to work. They don't want to. They want to steal. Okay? So maybe putting them to work will teach them a little work ethic. Okay? So that makes sense. There's only two. There's only like 2 or 3 of these bandits that survived. So for now, they're kind of like under house arrest, and so we should pick a section for them to live. And I think they should live outside of the wall as punishment for the time being, just until they can be trusted. So they'll be let in during the day to work on the fields, work on crops, to maybe work in the mason, to assist the millwright, to assist the mason perhaps. But for now, they are not trusted, and they're going to live outside of it. And for now, they're going to live in tents. For now, so they're not given the necessary tools to build their own home. So instead, they're going to be kind of forced to live in a outside the wall. So let's look for some tents. Let's make them a little spot for them to stay out here. So here are the tents for our bandits. They're going to live out here. Thank you, townspeople, for deliberating judgment upon these foul jerks. Hopefully they can be rehabilitated by being useful and helping the town, by being allowed during the day to come in and work, and then they are unfortunately have to go back out. So we're going to have to establish a level of trust here. Let's keep building, okay? And I'm sure if some of you are wondering why there is no market, it's because the town just isn't big enough. A lot of the necessary infrastructure is kind of already there, but actually, now that I think about it, let's actually add a market. That's a good idea. Now, where would we add a market when you're in a town? Me personally, I think the market should be closest to the gate, so that way when people go in, they can go and trade. They don't have to travel through the whole freaking town to get to the market. So I was going to put towns here, but this section right here might work well for a nice market. So let's go ahead and do that. I think I have some market stuff here. So here are some markets, and the market's going to be in this section. So let's go ahead and put some markets, and what you're going to have at this market is going to be a whole bunch of things. Now, as the town has grown, new infrastructure is added, new professions, more tradesmen, shall we say, people who are working on, let's say, making statues with stonework. Maybe they're artisans and they're making art. Let's say they're selling grapes, berries, whatever. So whatever is around this area that's worth buying. So I mean, let's just say that our Tide Witch is also going to be at this market. She's fairly close. She just has to go down the road, go to the market, and she can also share her wares if she doesn't want to have a storefront at her house. Instead, she wants to sell her wares at a booth at the market. So let's keep adding more and more booths to the market. For right now, we don't have to have a lot. It's just a fairly small town. So let's just add a couple for now, and then we can kind of build more market as the town begins to grow. Okay? We'll get to more stories shortly. Let's just keep adding more, and then we'll get back to that story. Let's add in some more structures here. And don't forget to leave some negative space too for some grass. As the town grows, it's nice to have some grass spacing like you have right here. So we'll make sure to do that too. And I'll show you a great way to do it. So let's do this. Oh, that one's the same, so let's not add that. These are all yellow too, so that looks weird. Let's try adding in some different colors. Let's go in with some green. That might look nicer. That's yellow. Let's go with another green one. This one right here, like this. Okay, and then we'll add in another one over here like this. Okay, let's also add in that green that we were talking about. So go back to your green, and I'm gonna drop my size down. And I just like to make little squares. So like, let's say you have this right here. So you have a little bit of grass in this section here. Let's say that you want to have some grass maybe next to this one right here. So add a little grass segment here. And you can add little crops too as well. I'm just letting you know, like, obviously grass is not really going to yield any benefits. It's mostly aesthetics. As you know, grass is worthless. It just looks pretty. It doesn't produce anything that you're going to need. So if you don't want to add grass, then I totally recommend that you add crops. Okay, and if you want to do that, you can use a crop texture or use a dark texture as well if you want. Let's just say that this is like tilled earth, and let's say you want to put a crop there later. So that's one thing that you can do as well. So let's just add a bunch of that around the village as well, or the town. So we got this section right here can be a little bit of, ooh, actually that's against a wall. That's not the best place to put a crop, so let's not do that. I don't recommend putting crops next to walls, by the way, because you want maximum sunlight on your crop. If the sun is coming up, then obviously the wall is going to block some of that sunlight. So you're going to want to maximize sunlight by putting it in an open area away from walls. Okay, so that area won't work. Instead, I'm just going to put some grass there. So I'll place that there. And don't forget, you can line these with bushes. I think it was Joy who had mentioned that actually adding bushes and stuff is extremely, yeah, grasses are useful actually, but there's tons of grass outside of the town. So it's okay if we don't have lots of grass in the town, but you're right, grass is not useless. You can use grass to make weaves, baskets, all kinds of stuff actually. Depends on the grass. Really tall grasses are really helpful for a lot of things, and I think there might even be some medicinal purposes for it. I'm not sure. I have to research this. I'm not an expert, so I only know a little bit. So let's keep going. If anyone has expertise on that kind of stuff, like, feel free to like speak up in the chat. I'm sure a lot of people here would love to get more useful information, so feel free to do that. I'm also going to add some like disturbed dirt right here for that there, and I'm going to keep adding some more kind of little crop areas. Don't want to put them by the wall. Let's put some over here like this, and then we can put some structures there. Let's go over to here. Let me take a look. I think right here should be good. Oh, there's a staircase right there. Let's make sure that we put a path leading to this staircase. And sometimes some of these structures have like a staircase and stuff. Make sure that you connect some of that road to the staircase. Okay, that's super important. I'm going to put a little circular section here, and we can put like a tree there or something. But this path goes to this area. Same thing right here. This is a staircase. Okay, there's some staircase here, so we'll put that there. Let's take a look. More staircase. This leads to that staircase. It's kind of a minor thing, but it's important to add. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that there like this. Okay, so you have going to there. We're also going to check other structures as well to make sure that there is some kind of road leading to this. There's one right there, staircase there. Make sure you put that there. Let's take a look what else we have. Not sure if that's a staircase right there or not. It kind of looks like one, so let's just put it like this. There we go. And then let's take a look. I need to drop that opacity down just a bit. Make sure that everything looks good. I think looks okay. There's road lining each one of these structures. There's going to there. And I think also there's this one right here. There should be a road going to right here, it looks like. Okay, so you've got this road going up into that one. Okay, let's keep going. All right, I'm at 64 changes. I'm gonna add a couple more structures and then we'll move on to the next part. And story, let's also check our time. We're at 11:20. We got about 40 minutes left. So let's quickly add the last stuff and then we'll wrap up the story for this episode, and then we will save the I'll be prepping for the next stream next week, which I'm super excited for. Just so you know, oh yeah, several wells, great idea, and you can put those anywhere, by the way. So now, as you know, the Tide Witch, I'm going to quickly add this well. I like this idea. Just so you know, the Tide Witch is the person who puts her ear to the ground and listens to the spirits who guide her to underground aquifers. So it's okay to add in another well. I'm just going to copy and paste and put this well right here. Okay, and don't forget, wells are also necessary for a lot of work by tradesmen. They might need water to clean the stone. They might need water to bend wood, because that's how you bend wood. You submerge it in water so that it is a little bit more pliable, and then you can bend it and let it dry. And there's whole kinds of techniques on bending wood. It's super interesting. So I'm going to make sure that there's a water source close to the carpenter, close to the mason, close to the also close to the brewery, because you're going to need water. Absolutely, water is necessary for making tons and tons of brew. So we made sure to put an extra well in there. So thank you to Laura Gerard. Now, also, Laura, I want you to know there is another well right here next to the temple, but we're going to put a second one in, that it's next to this vital infrastructure here. That's super important. Normally, all of these tradespeople would have access to water to work their craft. Water is absolutely necessary, not just for drinking, not just for crops, but also for all kinds of trade. So make sure, again, that there's a water source. And if you're wondering why there are wells and when there's just a giant river right here, well, if your village is under siege or your town is under siege, you need to have access to water. So the well is absolutely necessary to put a well inside of your town, village, capital, or whatever. I mean, for sure, the lord of a castle would have their own well in the inner bailey, okay, so that they have access to water. These villagers are going to want the same thing. They're going to want water sources inside the town walls, so that if they are necessarily sieged, under attack, anything like that, that they have access to water. Otherwise, they have to leave the city gates, the town gates, to go out to, oh, it's okay, Laura, if you didn't notice it. That's not a problem at all. I just want to let you know. But you're right, though. Like, if there wasn't town walls here, then you probably wouldn't need to worry about having a well. So it's not a problem at all. So let's go ahead and continue adding to this. Let's finish up this section. We'll get to the next story bit, and we'll add some more structures, and then we'll call it good. No, this has been really exciting. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, don't feel sorry at all, Laura. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Okay, let's keep adding in more structures. Let's add in some more infrastructure. We have one carpenter. We have two masons. Let's add a second carpenter in, because you have all these extra structures going on. Let's delete this house here. And let's go ahead and add in another carpenter, because we have so much infrastructure now, we have so many more buildings here, that we have to increase the load of our infrastructure. We have to produce more lumber for houses. One carpenter is not going to be enough for the size of this town as it is growing. Okay, just like there's a second mason, there's a second carpenter, we're going to keep adding it to it. So as the thing gets bigger and bigger, you're going to need more infrastructure buildings. So just keep that in mind. You can't have a massive capital and then just have one carpenter. That probably isn't going to go well. Okay, so you're going to have multiple tradespeople in this town, okay, until trade becomes more prominent in the town. Once trade becomes more prominent, you aren't going to need extra carpenters, a lot more extra carpenters. You're going to have trade. You're going to be able to pull in timber on ships that are going to wash up on the or come up on the shore, and they're going to have that trade. So for now, we're not at that trading part. Right now, most of the vital infrastructure is purely in the area that town is built. So for now, we're not worried about trade. We will, don't worry, as it becomes a city, we'll be doing that. So just a quick reminder on that. Let's keep building. I'm going to go ahead and add a shack for tools right here. And obviously we want to keep it not too close to the rock. So I think we should delete some rocks, because more structures have been built. So let's keep doing that. Eventually there won't be any rock left at this rate. If we keep expanding and building, eventually we're going to absolutely rely on trade to get this stuff. So let's go ahead and delete these rocks. And so the villages or the town is becoming bigger. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's getting big. This is kind of a small town, so let's keep going. Don't forget, we have had our bandits have been, unfortunately, unfortunate for them, they have to live outside of the village until trust can be established. Obviously, the village or the townspeople will have to come together in Congress and discuss the fate of these bandits and whether or not they're going to be allowed to continue, and to see if the sweat of their brow will be enough to let them stay. Okay, let's keep building more houses, and I'm going to also put some more market stalls in, because I think we want to make it interesting. So let's put in some stall stuff in the center as well, and then we can build a little path that goes around. So let's put some stalls like this, and so we have a nice little dirt road that'll be a circle here, And so that way, when you're going, we want to think about flow of traffic when you're building your market. Are people is there going to be a major choke point with congestion to where the people are not going to be able to walk freely around? So you want to be very careful about putting together your market so that people can walk around. So let's continue adding it here. Let's see here. Let's move this tent to here. And in fact, those two are too close together in the same color, so we'll move this to here. Okay, so you have some tents here. This can be, and if you want, you can even label each market thing in your head with the notes on what each thing is. I'll show you that shortly. Let's keep adding in more of this, and then don't forget that brown texture for a path. And we'll go ahead and put that down. So this path right here is basically the flow of traffic. Through here, let's put an entrance, go in there. Let's put one here, put one here. Multiple points of entry into the market will also cut back on congestion. So making sure that you have multiple routes that lead into that main loop for villagers to travel or walk through. These multiple points are going to allow that flow of traffic to be easier, not cause congestion. Because as the town gets bigger, more and more people are going to go to market. That's where you're going to go to get your meat. That's where you're going to go to get your candles. That's where you're going to go to get your berries to make your cordial. You know, that's where you're going to go to get your wicker. Whatever it is that you need, the market is going to be that place. Okay? So now the market has grown. It's a nice little spot. Let's go ahead and build some structures along the road here. Let's say that some of these market folk actually live close to their stalls, so that way they can in the morning go to it. Let's put a storage unit here as well. So now we have our market complete, and you can label things with the note tool. If you click this right here, here's the note tool, press that N key, and then you just place it right there. You can just go ahead and put what you want. You could say this is like a wicker seller if you want, whatever you want, it doesn't matter. And just know that you will not be able to see that note unless you're got the note tool selected. So if I remove it, you'll see the notes don't show up. So only when the note tool is selected. Let's keep adding in some more structures, and then we'll start building outside. Let's see here. I need a tannery. I think I already actually have a tannery. It should be in here somewhere. This one right here might be the tannery. Let's take a look. It's a leather worker. It's similar to a tannery. Now, I don't think we actually have a tannery in the list, so I'll go ahead and look into that. Maybe we can add that, but for now the leather worker will be good. And if you want, we can go over all this, over the basic infrastructure again. For those of you who were not here for the first video, Leatherworks, obviously you're going to need Leatherworks for your saddle. Okay, like there's no way you're going to have a workhorses without Leatherworks, because you need the saddle to hook up all and the reins and everything like that. You're going to need Leatherworks for that saddle, as well as other things too. It's not like it's the only thing, but there's no way that a farmer is going to be able to till the ground with a horse without a saddle and the proper gear. Okay, we also have 2 carpenters right here. I've shown you them. Carpenters are necessary. They're the ones that are going to cut wood, size it, make it into 2x4s or whatever the size may be, into lumber to build for the houses. We have an herbalist. This is basically your medicinal place. This is where you're going to go to cure any ailments that you have. You also have a blacksmith. A blacksmith is absolutely going to be necessary for your infrastructure, because you're going to need the bits, the reins, all these other things that are necessary these little metal works that are going to be necessary for your farming. Okay, there's no way that you're going to be able to have workhorses without some kind of blacksmith to make the bit and the pieces, the nails, the horseshoes. All those things are necessary for the horse if you're going to want to build crops. Right now we don't have like a cavalry or an army or anything, so right now there's not a weaponsmith. But as the town grows, as more people, as it turns into a city, absolutely a weaponsmith will be necessary. Okay, so we haven't gotten to that yet. The town is still just a town. It's not a city. And as it grows, more and more specialty tradesman groups, like artisan guilds, fighters guilds, all these other types of tradesmen will be added in later as it grows. So we've also got, like I said, our blacksmith. We also have our brewery. This is for people to go to relax. Look, life is hard. You know, life is hard and you need some form of escapism. These townspeople are going to go, at the end of the day, a long, hard work. They're going to go over to the brewery and they're going to have themselves a drink. Okay? They've worked hard. So that is why it's there. Okay? We also have a barn here. This barn, you need to have a place for your horses and your cattle and your livestock to stay. So for right here, workhorses are housed here. And we're going to want to also create some grazing. I have not added that yet, and I should have, but for now, most of the grazing of the animals, domestic animals, are going to be outside of here. So let's see here. Let me check other infrastructure here, just to verify. So far, no other infrastructure besides those what I just showed, and then 2 mills to produce the grain necessary, or whatever it is you're growing. It could be corn, wheat, whatever grain that you want to use. Remember, your mills are where your millstones are, and then you take grain of your choice, you put it on the millstone, and that hard stone, the windmill, the mill part, the sails of this windmill are what is the mechanism that causes the millstone to rotate, and that way you can put your grain on top of that stone, and it will grind it up. So that's basically what mills are for, if you're not aware. Don't forget, in the future video, I think when we turn to a city, again, we will add those coffer dams, and we will add in some water mills, because there's no reason why these people can't utilize the power of this river. For now, there's just not enough people and resources, and so we'll get more into water mills in the future. Don't worry, that infrastructure will be there, because everyone knows that human beings have always lived close to water sources. That's the whole history of humanity, has mostly been that they live close to water. Human beings, just like other species, just cannot survive without water. All right, 102 changes. Let's save, add in more structures, and then we're going to call it good, because we're like 30 minutes till, and I still want people to come up with the name of the town. I'll have to go over where the names were. Let me take a look. If you haven't yet, please mention what you would like the town to be, okay? All right, let's go ahead and keep adding in some more stuff. All right, and I'd say about a month has passed, and so far the bandits have not really done anything crazy. They come in the morning to help the tradesmen with their crafts, to be helpful, and so far things have been going well. There hasn't really been much of a ruckus. The blacksmith has kind of cooled his heels. Blacksmith's son has cooled his heels a little bit, because they haven't really caused a ruckus or anything like that. So they are doing fine, and eventually they're probably going to be moved into the town. So eventually these tents will go away, or we can leave them out. So we don't know yet. Let's just keep adding more of these small structures. Don't forget, like I said, add in smaller structures to get in more varying size, so your town doesn't look all the same. You don't want to deal with that, that monotony of size issue where everything looks the same. It's just, it doesn't look good, so don't do that. So let's go ahead and add in a bunch of structures along here. And I like using these shacks. These are small, they work really well. Okay, let's add in some here. Let's add a storage unit next to these little crops, next to the herbalist, so that way she has a place to put that stuff. Let's also add some more over here, and then let's also add in some houses along here. We're going to add a road. Okay, so let's put in a house here, and I'll make sure to put a road there. Choose this one and go down a bit, so the road goes out to here like this, up to this person's house, and we'll also put a road going to here. Okay, always remember flow of traffic. That's super important, okay? And I'm not going to put anything in front of, like any tall structures in front of the windmill, because that will get in the way of the wind. So if you're, just remember that you don't want trees or tall buildings to be in front of your windmill, so that way you can get the full, you want to take full advantage of the wind. So if you build anything right here, I would recommend it just be something small, like maybe a little area with a little shack out there, and that's it, nothing else, because you don't want anything to block the wind. Ooh, I'm loving these names, guys. We'll do a vote for these soon. So, if Philip, you would be so kind as to take all the names and then kind of write them down and then put them from A to whatever, or 1 to whatever, and then people can go ahead and vote on the name, okay? Please, Philip, if you would, thank you so kindly. Again, Philip is in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to ask him. Incredibly well aware of the tool and an incredible cartographer, so please ask Philip any questions if you have any, okay? Don't hesitate. All right, let's go ahead and put in a little dirt patch right here. I'm at 45%. Let's increase that just a bit more. Put a spot there. And we're going to leave empty room here for more. And more people have died, of course. People die of natural causes or whatever. So you want to continue adding. So as I add more houses, I'm going to continue to also add more and more graveyards, more and more graves to the graveyard. There are single ones too. So it's nice that if you want to be able to make it fit in better. Let's go ahead and add some of those. Let's add some more here as well. Let's add a couple there. Don't forget to add a little bit of dirt like this in front of it. There we go. Awesome. Thank you, Philip. Much appreciated. So our graveyard is, remember, lots of space here, okay? Because more people are going to die as it expands. So you're going to want to make sure that you have enough room for the graveyard. And once that graveyard fills up, then you have to build another one. So that is what happens, as more and more people, die from natural causes or illnesses or whatever it is they might get sick from or whatever, you got to continue to expand the graveyard. So add another one. So we'll make sure to do that. 2, let's just keep adding in more graves. Absolutely necessary. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste these. Just make a whole row of them. All right, doing good. All right. And I don't know about you guys, but you know what? After several months, the bandits have done a good job, and you know what? It's time for them to move in. So we can delete these tents. They've done a great job. In my mind, they have been rehabilitated. And so just for safe caution, we're going to push them away from, we're going to keep them in a spot that's going to be away from the mills and stuff, just as an extra precaution. So we're going to build, they're going to build their house over here. So just copy and paste. We'll put a little house right here. This is where those bandits are going to live. In fact, we can put another one there. That shape is odd. Let's go with this house. Let's take a look. I don't know. No, we don't want it to be too detailed. They were bandits, so let's just maybe give them kind of an okay, an okay residence. Like, hey, you've been naughty. You don't get a great place. Okay, let's put that there. We'll put one there. Okay, so we got that. Let's see. No, I don't really like that arrangement. Let's move it over here. So they're living over here. They're kind of away from the crops, and let's just say that they work for this mason here. So they just get up in the morning and they go over to the mason, and the mason is going to basically give them work to do. Let's also make sure that the road connects to this stairwell, the staircase right here. There we go. That's nice. Oopsie. Oop. Okay. Looks good so far. The town is growing. Oh, please vote. We got DC. Okay. Now that we've kind of built, most of this area has been kind of taken up. So we can start by deleting a little bit more of the stone. And then we can start building outside. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and start building some houses outside along the main route, because there's just there's no more room. So we're going to put houses along the main causeway or the main route. So that way, if there is an attack or if they need to go in, it's just they have direct access to the main route and boom, right in. So for now, just put those houses there. Okay, and I'll just put one more here and then maybe some small shacks and stuff. Okay, and then eventually we'll have to build more crops as well. So let's do that as well. Let's go ahead and put one. Let's see here. There has to be enough room to see. Let's move this over to here, because one thing for the defenses is that if you have buildings right in front of your gate, these enemy soldiers or bandits can go ahead and take over these residents here and just kind of use it as a stronghold or a little place, and then they can attack. So if you want some space between the gate and where the village is outside, or wherever the housing is outside, so that way the defenders can see attackers coming from a little bit of a distance. So you want to create some distance. We will expand this map to make it a little bit bigger, by the way. But for now, we'll just put it here like this, kind of away from. All right, let's also, don't forget to add in some of those shacks, and we'll add in some more barrels and crates. Put one there, and then let's put some over here as well, along here like this, and then some over here like this. Okay, don't forget to add little tiny side roads or maybe some dirt. So the dirt goes through here, through here. Just for now, we're not going to use vital stone or pebbles right now for other things until we have more resources for that, because the quarry is running out, right? The quarry is running out, and so for now, just little dirt roads to these locations is fine. We'll add more road, this kind of stone color road, and just so you know how they did that, often they would dig a little bit into the ground. Let's just say like a trench, not very deep, could be anywhere, you know, I don't know, maybe like a hand's length. I know hands are varying, but let's just use that. And then they would go and just kind of fill it with rock, with some sand, rock, pebble. I don't know if it was sand. I think it was little tiny rock fragments, probably gravel, maybe like a pea gravel, and then some larger stones to go on top. For now, this road, because it's not a major city and there's not a major causeway going to a castle, they've just dug a little bit into the ground, added some dirt, or I'm sorry, added some stone onto the ground. And again, we don't want to waste this vital resource on the road on these to these little houses here. We want to save it for more important vital infrastructural projects that might be within the town. So let's do that. So you do have these little roads leading out like that. We're at 73 changes. Let's save it. And it looks like there's a lot of different votes here. D, C, E, G. Ooh, so many are. Okay, well, don't forget, people in the chat, don't forget to vote. Go ahead and check. We got A to G, a whole bunch of interesting names. Please vote on that, okay? Thank you. Okay, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page. Made quite a few changes. So let's refresh. I can't tell you how often. Please, please refresh. Save and refresh the page. Save your work. I don't want all your hard effort to just go poof. I don't like that. Don't do that. Okay, we're just going to wait for a minute and let it load. Yeah, don't forget, if you have any questions, ask Philip, okay? All right, we are almost done. We're just going to add in the last bit of crops out here, and we're going to expand the town to where there's at least a lot of buildings outside here. A fairly small town for the time being. Don't worry, we're going to make it a lot bigger. So let's just go ahead and continue adding more and more structures outside. Let's see here. I'm going to expand it out this way. I don't want it to be up close to here. I want to leave some negative space, like I said, on the surround, so that the guards or whoever's manning the gate can see. Okay, and we will expand this in the next one. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a really cool feature called the resize feature. You can find it up here in the hamburger menu right here, or if you don't want to do that, you can go to the grid tool. Just press G for the grid tool, I believe. Let me check to make sure. Yeah, nope, there is no shortcut for the grid, so just click the grid tool and you'll see the resize map. Resize, and I just want you to just show you real quick what that kind of does. If you click this button and then you click, hold, and drag, you can resize the map. So for me personally, I would probably resize it further down so that the city will kind of, or town will expand further out, and maybe it'll expose more resources down here. So once you hit confirm, it's going to create a new, it's going to save this map and create a new map that's a clone of this one, basically, with the new added area right here. Okay, great feature. I absolutely recommend it. It's useful too if you have like a giant world map and you just want a section of that map. Like let's say you want to turn you want to take a section from your world map and make it a regional map. This is how you do it. You just go like that. You say, okay, I want to make a regional map of this section. Then you just hit confirm like that, and then you'll have to read this disclaimer here. Don't forget about this checkbox right here. It's just to remove all objects outside of the selected region. Okay, so like if you had this windmill right here, if I was to confirm this and do it, this windmill would disappear. This wall right here, this section of the wall would disappear. Okay, so unclick that if you don't want that to happen. Okay, all right, sweet. Let's keep building out here and adding crops, and then we're going to call it good. It's extremely helpful. All right, we're going to keep adding more. Let's go this way too, over to here, and we're going to expand. Let's say expand some of the road to go out. Let's say out to here like this. Oopsie, on the wrong line, I forgot. One key, don't forget that. Switching between the BG and the FG is the 1 and 2 key. I know I explained that earlier for those of you who just came in or didn't see that. 1 and 2 keys are the shortcut keys for FG and BG. Super freaking helpful. I cannot stress to you enough how important it is to use shortcut keys, because there's no magic formula to making a really awesome map in just a very short period of time. All you can do is just cut down on the time that you're going to work with. So learning shortcut keys, which by the way you can find right here, you can press the K button. It will open up the shortcut keys, and the whole list of shortcut keys is right here. I absolutely recommend that you go over that and put to memory what each one does, so that way you can speed up your process. Like, I know it sounds like shortcut key isn't going to speed it up, but you'd be surprised. The more and more you move your mouse around to select things, that's more and more time. That time adds up. So use the shortcut keys to speed up your time, and so that way it doesn't take absolutely forever to work on a map. Okay? Absolutely use shortcut keys. That's a pro tip right there. Okay? Let's go ahead and keep adding in more structures here. I just can't wait for the next stream. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so much fun. I love cofferdams. They're so cool. Okay, let's go ahead and add in here. We're gonna put storage units as well for grain, so that at least these townspeople can also eat. So if they're out here manning these crops, then they have a place to store some of the crop here after it's been gone through the mill. And we probably will even include some mills outside, so that way the food can also be processed outside of the wall as well. So we'll do that a little bit later in the next one. For now, let's just keep building in a little bit of a town outside of the wall, because there's just no more room inside of the walls. You know, just the maximum space has been taken, and it's just not possible to build anymore. So let's go ahead and keep building. Add in some more. Why do I have this auto rotate? Naughty. Yeah, I turn it right here. This button right here is randomized rotation. Really helpful for like bushes and trees and stuff, but for if you're trying to manually place each building down at once, like exactly where you want them, you should probably turn this random rotation off. I'll show you. If I click, it changes the rotation. That's extremely unhelpful when I'm trying to place them manually in a certain direction. I recommend that if you are going to place single stamps like that, just turn off that random rotation, okay? Quick pro tip there, all right? Let's go ahead and check how the voting is going. Ooh, so far, there's not a single one who have voted on the same one. This is hilarious. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and add in those final crops, and then we'll call it good for now. Actually, this is pretty good right here. This is pretty good. Now, I'm just gonna save and then call it good for now. If you guys have other suggestions or other things that you think that I should be adding in this, please feel free to put that down in the chat, and I'll make sure to write that down in my notes. And if you have some story elements that you'd like to add, I know that Anthony, I don't know if they're here or not, but Anthony also he's the one who came up with the idea for the missing villagers, the missing children. If you have a story plot element that you want, please go ahead and feel free to add that in the chat. I don't mind at all. I will incorporate your ideas into the stream. You just got to let me know in advance, because if you tell me at the last minute, obviously I won't be able to add it in. So if you got suggestions, boom, put that in the chat, and please vote on the title of the map, and if you don't, that's okay. I will go ahead and pick one out of the group. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick review of what was done in this one, and then we're going to call it good. So what we did is we continued to fill in this area with more infrastructure. So as your town grows, you absolutely need to add the necessary infrastructure for that town to grow. So that means mills, blacksmiths, masons, a tannery, or a tannery or a leatherworks, doesn't matter, an herbalist, right? And we have another carpenter here. You got the mills. A brewery is not necessary infrastructure, but hey, it's nice to have, okay? And we'll be sure to add in more infrastructure as we go. We also filled in the whole thing. We added more crops and more things. We added a temple here. A place of worship is a place for your villagers to go to feel consoled, to feel like they're a part of something bigger. It's absolutely necessary that you put some form of religious worship, religious structure in there so that your townspeople have a place to go and feel like they're a part of something bigger, a part of the big other, okay? We also added a market because as more and more people begin to fill up the town, they're going to want to go to a place to buy their wares, or to buy food or whatever. So make sure to include that. Now, I didn't see a butcher in our options, but I'll make sure to request that. But any one of these buildings can be a butcher. This one can be a butcher. This one can be a butcher. So I'd include that. And then don't forget to add in like a barrack. And if not a barrack, then at least some place where if you've added a wall, right, then you're going to want people to defend it. There's no point in putting a wall up if you're not going to have someone to defend it. So making a place like a barrack or some place for soldiers or at least some trained villagers or townspeople to sleep in next to the gate, so that way, if there is an emergency, they can immediately leave the barrack or this area and then go right to the gate to man it and to defend against any kind of attackers. So if you do have barracks, make sure you put them close to the gate. Same thing with the market. Put the market somewhat close to the main road. You can call it the main causeway or carriageway. And a main causeway is super important because you want to put your major infrastructure along that main causeway. Okay, that's absolutely important. So that way, people don't have to go through all these side streets to get to the necessary infrastructure that they need. So this is that main causeway. I'm going to quickly just put a path down so you can kind of see it. This part right here is the main causeway that leads to the gate. Okay, that's the main causeway, or it could be a carriageway, whatever it is you want to call it. So that's going to be that. So make sure that you do, when you build your town or village, put your major infrastructure along the main causeway. And if you have a wall, make sure that you do include wells inside of the walls, because there's no point in adding walls for defense if you're not going to have access to water and some crops. So those are the necessary things that you need within a walled town or village. And as the village or town grows, there's no more room within the walls, and so the village will have to, or town will have to grow outside. We've got lots of room here for the town to grow, all right? So to become into a city, and that's going to be the next stream. That's the 24th, I believe, 10 a.m. PDT. Please, I'm excited to see you there. I am all done unless you have some questions for me, and I will go in the chat and just quickly answer those questions. Please join our Discord, by the way. If you haven't, you totally should. Our community is freaking incredible. Our users are so nice. They're so cool. They're so willing to help you. Philip will drop the Discord link in the chat. Okay? If you haven't, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you don't like it, and that's why you haven't subscribed, then hey, tell us why you don't like it. Tell us what you want to see, because we listen to our users. If there's something, a kind of a tutorial that you want, a time lapse that you want, some kind of tutorial on covering something, please let us know. Go into the comments and let us know what you want to see, because believe me, I go over every comment, try to respond to every comment. Obviously, we're a small channel, but as we grow, I won't be able to address every single suggestion, but please join our Discord. Do that. Subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click that little bell so that you can get notifications. We absolutely love having you here, and I'm going to be sure to have more streams in the future. Just a reminder, the 24th, Wednesday of next week, 10 a.m. PDT, we'll be turning this town into a bustling city that will likely take up the rest of this map, and then we'll have to resize it. And don't forget, we're also going to work on those dams and those coffer dams so that we can put on a water mill, because we want more and more infrastructure. Okay? If there's no questions for me in the chat, then I'm going to take off. Thank you so much, everyone, for making it. Really appreciate. You guys are awesome. I'm really glad that you participated. We love you guys. We love you guys so much. Great work. All right. Stay safe and healthy, my friends, and merry map making. I'll see you guys later.